Afternoon, everybody. So we've now arrived at the knockout stage of the 1975 Cricket World Cup being played here in England on Brian Lara Cricket. There's no second chances now. You cannot lose a match, otherwise the World Cup is over. The first quarter-final was played at Birmingham today between West Indies and Sri Lanka. West Indies red-hot favourites against a really out-of-form Sri Lankan side. Just some news, first of all. Before this tournament, during the change of innings, it was announced that Sri Lanka would host the 1979 Cricket World Cup, which will be the second tournament being held in 4 years' time. Sri Lanka were announced as the hosts. The ICC put this statement out, said, "We believe that Sri Lanka are the best of the associate members in this tournament. Their world record 260 opening stand against Rhodesia was Sunil Wetwemi, and Ranjit Fernando was absolutely fantastic and showed the class his stroke players, which they have, and also the effort they put in against Australia when chasing 329 to score 274, just showed us the faith. Yes, they've struggled since Sunil Wetwemi's foot injury, but we believe that they've got the best facilities, they've got the best coaching staff, and they've got the best systems in place to host the World Cup. We felt we'd like to thank Australia and Pakistan for putting their bids forward to host the 1979 Cricket World Cup, but we felt that Sri Lanka, it gives them a chance to prove themselves on the international stage, and it will give them a chance to prove themselves. If all goes well and they have a good tournament and the tournament goes well, they will definitely be considered for Test status, at least in 1981 at the earliest. Remember, Sri Lanka are going for Test status. They expect to be playing Test cricket in about 10 to 15 years' time, but obviously the ICC have promised if they host the tournament well and they have a good tournament in 1979, then they will be considered as Test status as early as 1981. So, real positive news for Sri Lanka there. There was something else in which I wanted to say. It's gone now. The ICC awarding Sri Lanka the 1979 Cricket World Cup. But now back to business. This is what happened at Birmingham today. West Indies won the toss on a green pitch and elected to bowl first here at Birmingham. Similar conditions, it was overcast conditions, similar conditions to the pitch which I played on at Nottingham a few days earlier, where they rolled New Zealand out for 186 and they won with about 15 overs to spare. And as you can see, Sri Lanka just looked absolutely all lost. It took 31 overs for them to get bowled all out. It's the second lowest total in this tour in World Cup history, beating the UAE's 88 all out against New Zealand a few days ago at the Oval. Absolutely just move the ball off the pitch, left, right and centre. The ball swung throughout the West Indian innings. That scorecard is frankly awful. 4 for Ranjit Fernando, he's looked lost throughout his opening partner, Sunil Wetwemi. 2 for Bendula Wanapulla, he hasn't worked at the top of the order. A duck for the captain, Arunda Tekun. 8 for David Hayne. 17 for Michael Zazera, he's not had a good tournament. We'll have a look at the Sri Lankan players' averages in a moment. 4 from 17 for Michael Zazera. 4 for Duleep Mendis. 2 for Aruna Rasinga. Menvin Perez, 3. 11 for Tony Upatha. 3 not out for Lalith Kudapura. And they saved themselves. The England have been bowled out for the lowest total in World Cup history. I mean, that last wicket stand put on 28. 21 for Somachara de Silva, 46 deliveries to follow up his 34 against England. He's probably been their best batsman the last 2 matches, which sums it up really. He was the top scorer against England as well, and he's top scorer there again today. Bowling figures superb. They look like they're only going to use 3 bowlers. The leg spinner Lance Gibbs, 0 for 17. He probably won't play in the tournament again. He was only playing because Gordon Drennage failed a fitness test on his hamstring. He will be fit for the semi-final against New Zealand and India, make no mistake about it. 3 for 1 for Van Bernholder, continuing his magnificent tournament. 2 for 16 for Andy Roberts. 3 for 22 for Keith Boyce. But Bernard Julien, 4 for 20. absolute superb bowling figures. Remember, he got 542 against the United Arab Emirates, and that was, in the end, as you will see in a moment, a man of the match performance. In response, they got off to a really, really good start. Then, all of a sudden, Shamachara De Silva showed some spirit. Remember, the announcement took place after they'd been bowled out for 86 that they were going to host the 1979 World Cup Sri Lanka. So they showed a little bit of fight there. 19 off 28 for Roy Fredericks. Alvin Karicharan's tournament goes from bad to worse. He's got 150 against Kenya. He got 34 off 20 deliveries in the last match. And then he played a shot which was brilliantly caught by Brian McKechnie. And he was absolutely furious and he missed. He played a defensive shot to a straight ball from Shamachara De Silva and was bowled. And he whacked his bat into the ground and walked off in frustration. He's had a poor tournament, Alvin Karicharan, out for 8. 31 not out for Derek Murray. Opened the batting today in place of Gordon Greenwich, just like he did in the opening match against the Rebel South Africa 11. He got 31 not out off 56 deliveries and 24 not out off just 20 deliveries for Rowan Kanai, who actually played Shamachara De Silva pretty well. They knocked that off in just 18.4 overs. So realistically, the match has lasted 31 plus 18.2, 47.2 overs. It's not the shortest one-day international ever played. That still goes to the United Emirates New Zealand game a few days earlier. Bowling figures, Menvin Perez 13 for 0, 19 for 0 for Tony Opatha, 33 for 2 for Shamachara De Silva, bowled really well, 17 for 0 for Laif Kapula. They both had good tournaments in a way, and they're going to be major players in the next World Cup, you feel. Menvin Perez, 6 wickets in 6 matches, an average of nearly 40. But he did well against the associate members. Tony Opatha's had a brilliant tournament, averaged 26 for the ball in this tournament and took 9 wickets in 6 matches. He looked really, really, really good this tournament. Their opening bowlers are going to be very key in Sri Lanka in 4 years' time. The final summary, West Indies won the toss, elected to bowl on a green pitch in overcast conditions here at Birmingham. They rolled Sri Lanka out for 86 in just 31 overs. They only took 18.4 overs to knock off the 87 runs, 87 for 2. West Indies winning by 8 wickets. Man of the match, 4 for 20. Bernard Julien, his second man of the match performance here in England. This is what it means for the quarterfinals. I've already saved the game, by the way. You can't save the game now. So I've saved it as West Indies were knocking off winning runs. So I'll go back to that match and then move on to the New Zealand-India match at a later date. But there's West Indies, semi-finalists. New Zealand versus India tomorrow. That's going to be a tight game. But let's have a look at the statistics for the West Indies and Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka's tournament's over. Aruna Takun thanked the ICC during his speech to Peter West. It says it's an absolute privilege to host a World Cup and it will help his side potentially get test status. As we said earlier, if they host the tournament well, they could be a test play nation by the 1980s. But let's have a look. They've not really had, star players haven't really had two tournaments. Michael Tezera, 132 runs in 6 innings at an average of 26, 150 against Australia. Other than that, though, he's had a very disappointing tournament. But Sri Lanka have really struggled since the Sunil Wetwemi injury. Mainly Sunil Wetwemi and Ranjit Fernando. Sunil Wetwemi ended with something like 346 runs in just 3 matches. Can you imagine if he not got injured on the morning or a couple of days before the Dutch match, a couple of days before the match against India, how many runs he could have got there. Shamachara De Silva, averaged 19 with a bat, 59 runs in 3 innings. I mean, that's almost nearly half from what Michael Tezera got, and 8 wickets in 6 matches, an average of 33. Sort of struggled, but the conditions just weren't there for him, for the leg spinner. But Shamachara De Silva's had an okay tournament for Sri Lanka. He will be a key player in spin-friendly conditions in Sri Lanka in 4 years' time. West Indies, look at that average. Average gone down to 29, Alvin Karicharan, 149 runs in 6 matches. He's had a pretty dismal tournament. Clive Lloyd didn't bat or bowl. Bernard Julien, joint leading wicket taker in the tournament now. That 4-wicket haul means he's got 13 wickets in 6 matches. In fact, he ain't my joint leading wicket taker. I apologise. Let's just double check on the New Zealand bowler. Nope. He's one behind now. He's one behind Dale Hadley of New Zealand, and he's level with... No, he isn't level with the thing. He's one in front of Dennis Lilly. So, no, he isn't my leading wicket taker. I take it all back. But he's now the second highest leading wicket taker in this tournament with 13 wickets in 6 matches. Bernard Julien, thanks to that 4 for 20. A wonderful, wonderful display of bowling. He's not far behind now. 3 wickets for Keith Boyce, 12 wickets in 6 matches, an average 16. And Andy Roberts took 2 more wickets today. He's got 9 wickets in 6 matches. Probably the weak link in the West Indies bowling, but nonetheless, their 3 bowlers look absolutely irresistible, and so do New West Indies. That's now 103 all out, 113 all out, 186 all out, and 86 all out. The last 4 innings that West Indies have bowled at. They look sensational. I think the winners of the New Zealand-India match tomorrow are just... West Indies will win that semi-final. I mean, tomorrow's match, New Zealand-India, it's going to be tough. It's going to be very, very tough tomorrow. I can't predict. India seething after their performance against England. New Zealand, obviously, we're looking to bounce back after that emphatic defeat to the West Indies. It's going to be a tight match tomorrow. I can't predict who's going to win that. So, until tomorrow for the New Zealand-India quarter-final, this is me, Lawrence Howard, reporting on the 1975 Cricket World Cup being played in England on Brian Lara Cricket. Until tomorrow's match between India and New Zealand versus India, very good night, a very good afternoon to you all. Bye-bye, everyone.